Okay, here. Brian Carson.
He will be here shortly. He texted me from Misericordia at 5:45, so he'll probably be here any minute. Depending on traffic.
Jessica Decker. Corey Holman.
Here.
Dan Lutfi. Jack O'Leary.
Here.
Alicia Sheehan. Here. Rosemary Walsh.
Here.
And John Robleski.
John's absent. John had a slip on the ice on Sunday, broke his elbow, and was having surgery.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So, but he was in today. He came and dropped something off in a sling.
I felt it. May I have a volunteer to read the mission statement?
I will. Delaware Valley School District, in partnership with our community, stands committed to maximizing student potential, fostering lifelong learning, and promoting responsible citizenship.
Thanks, Tom. May I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Hearing no objection, the motion carries. I'd like to remind everyone that public comments are welcome throughout the meeting. Please raise your hand, identify yourself, and ask to be recognized. Yes, I will ask Superintendent John Bell to introduce tonight's presentations.
Sure, we have 3 presentations tonight. The first one will be Jason Black, who is a senior at the high school and is one of our Eagle Scouts.
Do we have him on speed dial?
Hi, I'm Jason Block. I'm a senior here. And, I'm an Eagle Scout from Boy Scout Troop 76, and I recently just earned my Eagle Scout Award November 7th. So I was asked by the Holy Trinity Lutheran Church in Dingman's Ferry, PA, to reroute and revitalize a nature trail by the church that was overgrown and underused as a result. That would help with the youth group and the preschool. So here's some pictures of the nature trail before. I sent around some of my my project booklet that shows what my project entailed. I had a plan. I had a plan, fundraise, and lead a service project, and so here are the results. So before the trail was overgrown, as you can see. So this is before. You can see that it's all overgrown, and no one was using it at the time. So before the project, I had to get mulch, as well as you can see here. I had to get mulch and wood delivered to the project site. I built discovery boxes to go along with the trail to help make it more enjoyable for the preschoolers. Discovery boxes are little boxes that held nature items so that the children going through the trail could put their hands in and feel the nature object and guess what it was, and then learn about it. I also included in my project a PDF file of all of the different nature objects included, and a little synopsis on what the animal was, or the plant, and where it's from, and the little cool facts about each one. So this is me building, and then this is during the project day. I had to do a safety review and began working on the thing, leading all of the volunteers. Some more pictures. I provided lunch, which was donated, which was bought from donated money from the congregation of the church, as well as members of the community. This is what the discovery boxes turned into. I built 4 of them, and I placed them along the trail. And these are some of the scouts and other community volunteers helping out. So this is what the finished project looked like. I remulched the whole trail, which the mulch was donated by DNS Hauling, and the wood was donated by 84 Lumber. So as you can see, the before and after shots. And this is the team at the end of the day. And afterwards, I realized that the boxes weren't as waterproof as I thought they were going to be. So I had to adapt the project to include little Tupperware containers that I could put inside the boxes to make them waterproof for later use. And so after that, I had to go in front of the board and present my project. And I had to have all of my stuff. As you can see in the book, there's multiple questions and things about what I've learned and all of that kind of stuff. I also had to earn 21 Eagle Required Merit Badges. And at the end of the project, I got my Eagle Scout Award. So.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What was your budget?
My budget? Well, I originally had a budget of $1,300, but because of people donated, I actually had a surplus of money donated, so I got to give back to the church $350.
Great.
Yeah. Any other questions?
How much time did it take you?
Well, me personally, it took over 130 hours, but including all of the volunteers, it was over 350 hours of community service.
Yeah, it seems like you just turned a patch of woods, really.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great.
Overgrown with kind, right?
Yeah.
Say that.
I have pictures in my books that I passed around if you saw them, as well as a plan that I had to draw the whole trail and how I rerouted it. And I had planned and designed the different boxes. You saw the different designs.
Where did you learn how to do these drawings?
Well, I had help from my from different volunteers as well as my father. He helped me with that as well.
I do drafting, so it's nice to see somebody doing it by
Yeah.
hand again. The old way. Very impressive.
Now, is it too early to ask you about your plans for next year?
No, I haven't committed yet, but I'm planning to go to Temple University to study environmental engineering. I was accepted to their program. I just haven't mailed them the check yet.
You're waiting to hear.
Yeah. I'm actually waiting to hear back from Cornell University.
John, how many Eagle Scouts do we have? We have
13, right? Is that what it said in the paper? Yeah, 13 in the last student newspaper that.
Hear them just in the door.
It's a centerfold spread, 2 pages of all 13 of them. I can't ever remember anything like that. That number is just staggering.
Could we get all 13 of them to come in here sometime
working on
before
it.
the end of the year?
We're trying, every meeting, we've been trying to get people to come as, around their schedules and everything like that.
Or get them together during the day at the school or something.
Yeah, that's our goal. But if you look at that last newspaper we gave you, there's a picture and a descriptor of each one. It's a 2-page spread. It's really nice in that last student paper. So, but we're working on trying to get them all here. So.
I assume you get together with your fellow.
Actually, most of the Eagle Scouts are from different troops around the community. We have multiple troops, like in Milford. I'm from the Shohola PA one, and there were actually a lot of Eagle Scouts that came out of our troop recently.
And you meet to share stories.
I'm
You
sorry.
get together.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we were working on them together, so we kind of helped each other out with all of the planning and different
Nice.
pieces that we had to include, because it's a very difficult process that a lot of people drop out of.
A lot of paperwork.
Yeah, a lot of paperwork, as you can see.
I think it means like at the school, do you see the other 12?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
You should have like a little society.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Secret handshake.
Handshake, raccoons.
Well, there is actually an Eagle handshake.
I was a good Boy Scout. I don't qualify. Congratulations.
I can't show you, I teach you how to do it, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's great. We're really proud of you. And when you think about all these projects, even if we had 5 a year as a time, but you think of 13 of them, And doing 13 different projects like this around the community is pretty fabulous.
It's great for them,
So
and
you
great
should
for
all
the
be proud.
community.
Yeah.
My son was an Eagle Scout. I know it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and was. I guess you're always on it.
Yes, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
This
Thank you.
particular group with Jason, a lot of these boys came in through Shahola Elementary, and they just went all the way through the program together, and I think there was a little safety in numbers, a little competition, and kept them going, and they went to summer camp all together too, a lot of them, many of them, at least in the Shahola troop, so. It helped, to stick to.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations. Okay, our second presentation will be Coach Olsemer and some of the seniors from the football team, those who are available. And come on in, Coach. And we have a bunch of them that are at senior night for wrestling tonight. There are wrestlers also, so we got them going in every direction, especially with 2 snow days.
We have 77 kids on the team, and it would be a tight fit. So we had asked the seniors to come in, and with the rescheduled meeting, we were supposed to come in for the December meeting. It got rescheduled. It's made it a little bit difficult, but this is a group of a core nucleus of the guys that we had on our football team, seniors. We obviously 12-1. We have 2 kids that are up here, Ryan Obiso and Dylan Kelly. They're the first Delaware Valley players that we've ever had that by every publication that lists an all-state team, were listed as all-state football players for our classification, which is 6A. Several of these guys are going to have opportunities to continue playing at the next level. I think the one thing that makes being around the group of seniors that we had this year as enjoyable as it was is that not only were they excellent football players, but these guys are guys that are active in all different types of activities in our school. Excellent students, excellent role models. Not saying that they don't occasionally make a boneheaded decision. They do. But they've been a great representation of our school district, both as students and as student athletes, and they've excelled in both of those categories. So it's thank you for the opportunity and everything that you provide for these guys on a yearly basis. They appreciate it. They work hard, very hard, and they've done a great job.
So, want to start? You guys
Oh, yeah.
yourself?
CJ Anderson. CJ was a wide receiver for us this year. Dylan Kelly. Dylan was a defensive back and a wide receiver running. He played all over offensively for us. Brennan Heaney was a tight end nose guard. Not a common fit, but he did a great job for us. Ryan Yancek was our fullback. Anthony Celia, our middle linebacker. Nick Freymuth was an offensive lineman for us, and Ryan Obiso. Ryan was an outside linebacker and our tailback on the football team this year. We're gonna
season, guys.
miss these guys.
It was incredible. It really was. I mean, it's just every week we kept saying, "God Almighty, is this going to keep going? It's going to keep." Especially when you guys scared us early on with a couple close ones. Then you got in a roll there for a while. Made us feel easier, but we were stressed out at the beginning of the year watching you guys.
And those of us that have been around from the very beginning, it's really nice to be here now.
We were a lot closer to 0-10 than 10-0 back in the 90s.
Year 2, we were 0-10. I remember that.
It just blows people's minds when I talk to people back up in the valley about how far our football program has come under the coach. And so you guys are too young to remember that. But I mean, we remember right when they used to play out here on the practice field. It was the press box, and there was just a couple little sets of bleachers, and it was when Coach Donnelly played. There was some lean times back in
The weight room was a trailer.
Yes, the locker rooms. They were
we had a
beautiful.
modular trailer for the weight room locker room.
The skunks used to get under them. That was nice.
So we've come a long way. When you think of the team, the stadium, the marching band, you think of the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kids that are involved in pulling off a Friday night. It's pretty cool now. It's pretty cool.
Yes. It's just no pressure on you guys. Mr. Homer was an All-American at Lebanon Valley. A bunch of these guys are going down to visit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Coach Pantalone was up and
You guys will enjoy it.
recruiting them.
So I'm
So,
sure it was. It's amazing too. I mean, we're such a young program. I mean, if you think about it in the state, in
Sure.
this whole area, program's so young. When we start 96.
This is their 25th year of
Yeah.
varsity.
So, I mean, it's just amazing how quick the program, some of these programs are around since 60s, maybe 70s. Or
Some are 100 years.
Yeah.
100 years old.
Right, that's what I'm
cities.
saying.
And we're clearly the youngest 6A, because you don't have you don't have schools that are 6A that are this young in football, because nobody grew like we grew.
I know.
Yeah, it was in 3,
yeah, I think,
93.
yeah.
I was there.
right.
Anybody know where you're going yet next year, or is everything still up in the air?
Does sweatshirts don't mean anything, guys?
No.
I was gonna say, come on, you know?
It's early yet.
Yeah, not sure yet.
You got a lot of angst, and a lot of phone calls and letters and stuff to deal with, but hang in there. But we certainly are very proud of you, because it was a 10-0, the only team ever to go 10-0. How amazing is that in the regular season? So, and that's something that you'll have with you forever. You know, no one could ever take that away. So it's an awesome thing to say you were part of it. So, no, go ahead.
I haven't been able, I got young daughters, 8 and 11. They're just at the age now where I can actually bring them to a game, so I couldn't get to see too many football games over the years. But at the end of this year, I started going and met John in one of the games, and he started telling me about all you guys and what you do. And, you know, who to look out for. And I started getting into the games because I didn't watch football this year. I just couldn't watch the professionals, you know, and I kind of missed it. But I got to watch you guys. You guys like hang girls. There's a girl on the team, right? You play because you love playing the game. And that's something that I think is missing in the profession right now. You know? So much money and contracts in and everything. When I got to see you guys, it was like, I'm 55 years old. That was the time when I used to play sports, and I really enjoyed it. I still kick a soccer ball every chance I get. You know, there's one over in my yard. But when I got to watch you guys, I really enjoyed watching you because of the love of the game. You know? And I could see that in every one of you. And I watched the different teams that came in, and it seems like, I don't know, there was one team towards the end, there was the second or third to the end game. They were throwing all different types of looks at you guys, and you just kept adapting to whatever they threw at you. You guys had adapted. And it's great. And Mr. Kelly, I'm saying, you know, my name's O'Leary. You know, we're both Irish. You know, with that Boston University shirt on. And I'm saying, let me see this guy Kelly that they keep talking about. And I seen you get taken out completely. They took you out. I said, well, that's it for Kelly for the rest of the day. And you were back in the next play. And I guess they knocked the wind out of you good because you were down for a while. And he said, well, that's the end of Kelly. I don't get to see too much of this Irish. And you were right back in. I was like, yeah, it was good. It shows you drive, you think. And Mr. Obisa, what's your nickname? They good. I remember they were screaming something about it.
Obese.
So it was very good, but I really enjoyed watching you guys. You know, you really, and like my daughters, they're 8 and 11, and they look up to you. They're like, you know, they're proud of you. These are the guys from our school. These represent our school. So it was good. I kept saying, are you cold? You want me to bring you home? No, I'm gonna stay. So it was good. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would just like to add that I was back there during the original vote on the $96,000 junior varsity football team. And it was fiery. And I'm not exaggerating to say that we were threatened personally and our businesses. But as I watched football progress through the years and have seen what has been added, it was worth every negative moment that we went through. The positive has definitely taken over. So I was there. I lived through it. You will have great stories to tell your children. Thank you.
And the last thing, I mean, everything you've learned, Coach Olson's taught you and everything. I mean, I've gone through bachelor's, my master's, everything, working on a PhD. But the most things I've learned are from the football. You know, you get back and you're studying, and you earn that grit. You know, that a lot of people don't get everywhere else. You can go through school, you have PhDs and everything like that, but they just don't have that motivation that football players have. So I mean, you'll remember all of this, and so just take it in, enjoy the class time, out of class for the recruiting, visits and stuff. So enjoy it.
And the older you get, the more you realize how right he was with the stuff he used to bark at you about. But you didn't like when you were 17 or 18.
Right now, they don't believe that very much.
It'll come around. It'll come around. Your parents will get smarter too when you get older. It's funny how that happens.
Yeah, it is.
Coaches are in that same ballpark.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys for coming. I
you.
really appreciate it.
Go ahead, Randy.
Thank
Thank you.
Ryan's got homework.
All right, good. All right. We still have 4 of them up in the house.
I took
My son
mine down
Logan
yesterday.
Loads our house up with them, so we have them for quite some time.
Okay, next up, Mr. Flynn, so we can talk about CTE.
There's some plants coming around, so you
Oh,
have to look
good.
so high.
I can't see that.
Well,
I said, put it on the biggest paper you got.
Yeah, this is good.
That makes life easier.
Okay, well, John's handing those out. I'll get started. So just briefly on the miscellaneous 2018 projects, we are scheduled to be complete with our documents and have them ready for the contractors to start bidding on February 5th. And we'll be receiving bids back on those projects on March 1st, so that you'll see those at your March work session. You'll see the result of those bids, and I'll be here to share those with you. You can see where we're at with those numbers. Regarding the CTE project, we are presently 50% complete with our design development documents. Design development phase, we're talking specifics of each lab, equipment, power requirements, air, water, all of the nuts and bolts that make the building function properly. So with that said, we're also targeting the end of March to be complete with all of the documents, so that the contractor will have the CM will have the documents to bid in April, so that you'll be looking at numbers for that project at your first meeting in May. And they're still preliminary schedules that I've seen from them. They're looking at starting sometime in late June with the construction for that project. The phasing plan is being presented to the administration on Monday, along with the first budget estimate. So we'll have a sense of where we stand compared to the numbers that we had presented to you starting on Monday. We have been working with them. They've been coming to our design meetings, and we've been looking at different ways to try to save some money without compromising any of the quality or program in the program. So if we can reuse a wall instead of tearing it down and rebuilding it, any mechanicals. So for example, we in the science labs that we were doing, there were 2 units that were installed last summer. So rather than putting them in the junk pile, we're going to reuse them in 2 new labs. So things like that to try to save costs where we are able to. Right now, the big focus is, in addition to that value engineering, is finalizing the layouts of the labs. Some of the labs you'll see when we put up the plans have a lot more stuff inside the walls. So like, for example, automotive, we have a pretty good idea of what's going inside that lab. Whereas the electrical, there's a consultant that's putting together a layout for us, and we still are waiting for information back from him. So you'll see a little less inside that room. That room's not as complicated, so we're okay with that being a little further behind. But I think the more intricate areas, we've been working with Brian and his teachers, and I think we have a fairly good layout for all of them. So anyway, prior to finalizing those plans with Brian and staff, we thought it'd be a good time to show you where we're at tonight. So with that, this is the overall plan, just to get your bearings. Route 6 is out front. The high school entry is there. This is the middle school parking lot back. So your present CTE sits in this location, in this purple. So anything in purple is are parts of the building that we're going to renovate, and anything in this tannish color, it would be new construction. Okay. So blowing this up further, again, this was that portion of the building that we're going to renovate, and then our addition is all up in through here. You have the plans in front of you, so I won't blow this up as we work through, but we're going to get into each lab on further slides. So I'll quickly just, you should recognize roughly the shape of this. I believe this is one of the last configurations you had seen. It's slightly tweaked, just bases on size. Like for example, this wall had to move a few feet to avoid the high voltage power feed from PPL to the building. So detail tweaks like that. We still have our automotive up in this corner, the electrical shop in this area. Your culinary arts is in yellow, early childhood down here in gray, health occupations is in the blue, and then CAD drafting, the wood shop, as we're calling technology manufacturing now, engineering, and the new science room, and then the 2 science rooms that are being renovated. So those are the programs that we're working with.
Is there a reason 178 through 180 is non-CTE by the legend, or is that just?
These rooms here?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the CAD drafting and the wood shop were part of the existing building. They're located in this area. That was the wood shop. The idea was to take art, which is presently down here, put them in that location. They've temporarily relocated art so that we can implement this plan. So at the end of this project, they'll move down into this wing and art can take that larger space. And similarly with that, the CAD drafting, which is in this location, will come down into this wing with our engineering and science and create more of a STEM type pod for the building. Are there any broad questions before we move into the labs? So the next slide here is just this top corner, a little bit larger. So within the automotive lab, the thing you'll see in there are 8 lifts, 2 of which are alignment machines, and those 8 items dominate the space in there. So that large open area was sized to fit those equipment. And the way it'll function is with the 4 overhead doors, they'll be able to pull a vehicle straight through onto the lift, and that vehicle would stay for a lengthier time, whereas the lift by the door would just be more for the in and out type work. They have a large storage room, and then their classroom with windows looking out into the lab. Right now, we're in the process of locating all of their smaller pieces of equipment that have power or compressed air needs. So we're the teacher is developing that list, and we'll start placing those as we started to do here inside that lab. The building construction is an interesting one. Most of his equipment, tables, saws, drill presses, workbenches are all portable stuff. So what he has asked is for sort of an adaptive space. So what we're providing with him is at the ceiling level bus bars, which are long boxes that allow you to put cable electric drops wherever you want them. So there'll be a row, several rows of them, so that whatever he's doing at that particular time, he could adjust his space to meet that and then provide power. And then with that, there's also going to be an air compressor on a mezzanine here feeding the automotive lab, and will come through to both wood shop areas and the building tech with a manifold system, which will again allow him that flexibility to move his hoses and compressed air around to suit his needs, along with his storage and the outdoor workspace with the large overhead doors, so we can move items in and out, similar to the dugouts they were building earlier this year. He also has classroom dedicated to his space, and then a storage area in addition to the wood storage areas that he would have. And then lastly, I mentioned the electrical. We've laid out the individual work bays, so these are similar to individual rooms with constructed wood studs without the drywall on them. And the students practice pulling wire through boxes and different electrical panels. It's 2 stories, so they get used to working in that environment. But the actual control equipment that they'll work with and industrial equipment has not been placed in the room. They also have a classroom in that area. So that's sort of what was the 4 big, now 3 big labs. I'll get to the health and technology in a moment on a separate slide. As we move to the lower half of the plan, your culinary arts program. So we have the new kitchen laid out here. We've gone back and forth with our food service designer fairly extensively. The idea now is to have large center area with works. You can see the layouts a little better on your plan. Unfortunately, this is not, or maybe not, this isn't projecting well, but there are some labs, not labs, but work tables. Some of them have heat lamps over them. There's different culinary stations. So whether it's baking or there's, the pizza oven, the mixing areas, dishwashing. But the idea is to have that set up more with tile walls to make it look more like a commercial kitchen rather than an industrial type kitchen. Along with that, they have a classroom and the restaurant area, which the layout right now is not finalized, but we're targeting around 60 seats, depending on the type of seating that we put in there. And this will be set up like a true restaurant with serving stations and, bus stations behind this wall. The nice feature here, we'll have glass looking into the kitchen. From the teacher's office, you'll also have windows looking into the kitchen, looking out into the dining area, and then looking into a classroom. So they'll have a nice, 360 supervision of that space.
And let me just interject, just currently, that's, that space is culinary and health occupations. So it'll be almost really double the space.
Yeah, right now, your culinary kitchen, your kitchen's right here and the dining area is there. So that's part of the phasing 2. Health occupations has to move out, and that allows to keep this occupied, functioning while they're building this kitchen. And early childhood. So I didn't show that on the overall plan, but on the overall plan, you'll see there's a drop-off area. We insert, you see it better there. We're constructing a new sidewalk and entry point so that parents could drop off, bring their students into the classroom, and then there's a large fenced-in area for the outdoor play. Internally, there's new toilet facilities and hand washing stations. The lab is rather open, and she'll adjust her stations as she sees fit. One of the classrooms will have a large glass window with a counter and communication system looking into this space so that as students are working there, they could be observed from the other side of the room and they can communicate back and forth. Unfortunately, this space is about 18 inches lower than this space, so we had to take a small area to construct a set of stairs. And then this other area is more of a classroom space with some storage around the perimeter. Moving up into the health occupations, this is one where there's many things happening inside and many pieces and parts that they bring out when they need them. So we needed to provide a ample storage facility or area. So coming off the hallway into the space, this area is designated as a mock lab. So imagine like a blood drawing lab and a counter that would have centrifuge and those type of blood processing. They won't actually do the drawing here, but it's to mimic that type of situation. The center, the large open space, is where she'll do her instructions with the teaching wall on this end. The 6 bed locations we're setting them up like a hospital bed. So you'll have a actual hospital bed, a head wall with mock gas and vacuum and power and data outlets on the head wall. And on the edge, 2 exam rooms, again, exam tables, hand washing, curtain tracks so that the students could watch what's going on in those areas. The toilet is large, so you can fit a few folks in there where they can practice their transferring from wheelchairs to toilets and into showers. And then hand washing stations, a big part of their curriculum, I guess, is to make sure the hands are washed properly. And along with that, we are putting a surgical wash station, so similar to you'd see in an operating suite, same type of setup, so they can practice that type of scrubbing. And then lastly, I mentioned the large storage area. And there's overbed tables and lifts for larger patients and those type of things that they'll, rather than having it cluttering up the lab, we can have a spot to push them out of the way. The 2 science rooms, pretty straightforward. This room will have a chemistry hood, casework around the perimeter, and then flexible workstations in the center, teacher station up front. Both the labs will overlook a courtyard, and that's sort of allowing them to have the direct light into the space. And then as we get up to the top, the CAD drafting lab fits 25 There's enough space in the back for their printers, their 3D printers. There's a sink. I think it's under that. Somewhere under here, there's a sink that they could wash their heads of the printers and whatnot out. The wood shop, all of his equipment has been measured, located. We know the power requirements, and that's all been taken care of, whether it's through power feeds from the ceiling or through walls. They also have an outdoor door to that outdoor workspace. And our last spaces are the lab, or the engineering classroom, excuse me. So the space is a lot larger than what they have. They have the individual workstations, and then one of the additional benefits is the new maker space, which is probably 3 times the size of what they already have, and large glass walls so that we can see inside and watch what they're doing in the maker space. And I think that's it. So just briefly, the exterior, this isn't a project where we're you know, going to get into architectural record. We're simply matching what's happening on the site. So from here down is all existing. We're cleaning all the brick with an acid wash and a pressure washing system. All the metal panels will get painted, so this whole end will look like a new building when it's all said and done. The addition is going to just match the brick, match the metal panels, so that it's not some, you know, it doesn't look like an addition, but rather it looks like a whole cohesive building. And just, this is the new facade looking from the parking lot, but this is the area, so you can get a sense of that outdoor workspace, how large it will be for them to actually be out there working on it. So that's where we're at with the floor plans, and you have to answer any questions you might have.
In the automotive technology, I really like the 4 bays. That's gonna be, we're gonna have room for a tire machine and stuff like that in there.
Yes, and that's what we're working on now, locating those pieces of equipment. Yeah, well, the compressor is going to be up top on a little mezzanine, so that noise and that piece of equipment will be out of the way.
Okay. That storage room, that'll be the building construction storage from the automotive technology storage. Is that going to be a chain fence in the middle of that, or should it be a solid wall?
We're actually going to put a solid wall, because this is helping us with the structure above to hold that compressor. Right, correct.
All right. See the classroom down right above?
That one?
Right.
Yes.
Now go down to the lower left-hand corner of that classroom. Can we cut a door in there?
I guess we could. This classroom was supposed to be dedicated to the automotive folks.
Right. I'm just looking to get out in case, say there's a fire in that bay right there.
Oh, over here, out here?
You know? And that's my second question. What are we doing for a fire? We're not doing anything. We're going to go with fire extinguishers, ABCs, A's, B's.
Yeah, so as far as the building code goes, we had to separate the building. And for some reason, I have no idea why, but this wall is already a double block wall. So it saved us a bunch, because we would have had to build that second wall if not. But we need a 2-hour fire separation between these areas, or excuse me, this area and the rest of the building, and then from our new construction. And we went through this with the high school gym. If we don't create separate fire areas, we have to put sprinklers in the building. So the firewalls will allow us to meet the building code without having sprinklers. One thing that the Planning Commission had asked, the fire department was there, and they're asking if we could extend the standpipe system that was in the rest of the building. That, I don't know if you recall, but back when we did the 10 classroom addition for the middle school, we installed a standpipe system through most of the high school. They'd like to see it extended here. It's not a requirement, but it's something I said I'd bring back to the administration. We'll be talking. It's not a high dollar item. It's just an empty pipe that they could hook up to, so they have to drag their hoses deep into the building. But other than that, it's all non-combustible materials, so we don't require any sprinkler or Ansel type systems other than in the kitchen over the fire hood. Yeah.
Yeah, but those are cars. That's combustible. There's going to be cars in those lifts.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I was wondering. We just got to go with.
So if it's helpful, we could put a second door. I would probably look to do it out, you know, this side, so we're going directly out of the building rather than.
I just need. They always, when I went to get my sprinkler license and suppression license, it just kind of drill in your head 2 means of egress, 2 means of egress. Everything you do is 2 means of egress. So I'm looking at that and I'm saying, if the children are, and students are in the classroom, and that bay happens to be on fire, which, you know, Murphy's Law, it would be that bay. Instead of them coming out that way, I'd rather them go out through, you just put in an emergency door just into the building occupation, and they go right out through there into the covered work area. Just another means of egress, because that was just, that's just me being anal, but that was drilled into my head.
That's fine. Doors are, there's not costly, so they could remain closed and locked until unless you need it, so certainly.
And I would just plan on some kind of foam system, you know, whether it be hand, you know.
Yeah, oh, sure, there's fire extinguishers throughout the existing.
Because if we get an oil or a grease of fire, that standpipe's not gonna help us, the water's not gonna help. So,
Yeah, well, it's not a wet system anyway. It only functions if the fire department shows up to use it, so.
Looking good.
Yeah, it's coming along. We're happy with it. It'll be interesting Monday when the construction manager brings his first number out, so.
I know the makerspace is 3 times the size. Is that still big enough? Always.
We've been working with the teacher, Brian. I mean, I don't know that any size would be big enough for him, but,
He actually said he's pretty satisfied by the square footage, because I asked him the same question this afternoon.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, because I know that program's expanding, so I mean, just for future expansion.
He had said, in terms of the equipment they want to put in there, there's room for every piece of equipment, a 3D printer, the machine for the computer integrated manufacturing he's gonna add in there. Everything has space, and then extra space on the other side of the wall for workstations. He actually had said he didn't know if there'd be a way to have like a non-permanent workstation in the middle of the room because it's narrow, but he said that would be nice. If there was just a way to have something even temporarily put there that could go in and out so kids could work on that and use the machines on the wall, but it seemed like it could work.
Well, he's happy.
Yeah.
well, when we talk on Monday, we could look at, it doesn't matter if they have 2 linear spaces and he has linear space, or if they each have a deeper square space. So if he thinks it's more practical to ring the perimeter and put something in the middle, we can certainly look at that. Anyone else have any questions? I'm sure you'll, look at them tonight while you're laying in bed, so if you have anything else, let Dr. Bell know, and I'll be happy to respond. It was terrific. Thank you.
John hears from us the next morning.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good.
Now, the rest of
Very nice.
the other science rooms that are gonna be renovated down there are in the following summer. So and these 2 science rooms that are being renovated are not part of the CPE price. They're part of the 100 price from the site. But it made sense to do these 2 because it's part of this whole project, creating the hallway and the corridor. Whereas the other ones will just be done next summer because they're not contiguous to the project. So we'll do them next summer. They're on the other side of the pond, so. Over the course of 2 summers, all the science rooms will get renovated. Thank you, sir.
We're done, nothing gets out of here without me giving them a hug. Okay. May I have a motion to approve the minutes from the regular board meeting held on December 14th, 2017?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objection, the motion carries. Move on to the reports. Student representative report. Ms. Como, I'm sure you want to talk to us and get out of here.
Sure. So coming from city council, right now, we are planning DV's very first talent show. We are trying to. So next month we'll hold auditions, and based on our attendance with that, hopefully we can hold the actual talent show sometime in late February or March. And then soon after that, we'll plan our semi-formal, which we're trying to add something to that to get more attendance from students. That's really about it.
Shane's not here tonight because he's wrestling. Oh, I'll say it now, but we'll say it again when he comes next month. But Shane found out Friday he got into the Naval Academy.
Oh, great.
That's really awesome. If they didn't take him, I don't know who they would take, because he's got everything on his resume you can imagine. He's class president, he's FBLA state president, right? He's got his resume is unbelievable. So we're just thrilled for him. So. Cool. But we'll bring it up again next week and next month and make him blush. Yes, he will.
So are you gonna invite the administration to be in your talent show?
Well,
I think that John does a very good.
Fill in the blank. And
We're doing Milli Vanilli, that's what we're doing. There's been these things lately where school board and school administrators get on and sing.
That's true, yes, it's hard, yeah.
So I got one asking, can we get Dr. Bell to do this? And I forwarded it to him, and he said, well, we'll do Milli Vanilli, and we figured that would be the end. Now I've gotten a bunch of them where they want myself and John to do one together. You don't want to hear me sing, I hope you have a good voice.
Faces for radio and voices for.
We'll do lip sync, that's what we'll do. Thank you very much. Frida, you can stay if you want.
You know, I school tomorrow.
Sure.
Thank you very much. Are there any comments in the administrative reports or attendance report?
In the administrative reports, yes, I did have a question for Maria. I was happy to see everything expanding as far as, is it Treasure House?
Friendship House.
Friendship House. And there's a comment in there that next year we'll possibly need another counselor. Is that guidance counselor or social worker?
No, that's a social worker, but that would not be one of our employees. They're Friendship House employees, so that's no cost to us whatsoever.
Okay.
That's all billed through Medicaid.
Excellent.
Yep,
So
that
with
program
budget
has
coming up?
really blown wide open, and the psychiatrist is set to start sometime later this month. We're waiting on a date for that, so it's really,
That's huge.
it is huge.
And then next year it will be in all 6 schools.
Yep, we submitted the paperwork for that to happen, and as long as all the approvals go through for that, then yes, in all 6 campuses, we will have that program.
Beautiful, thank you.
How many campuses are on now?
3, the Shahola, Damons, and the main campus.
Okay, so then it'll be in all the schools.
Correct.
Great.
I tried to give Maria a heads up, because this is what I was going to ask you about. Can you just explain to us what that outpatient program is?
Sure. It's really like an outpatient clinic that you would go to if you were going to one on the main street in town. So it's basically students in our school, through appointments, are seen by a social worker that is covered either through Medicaid or private insurance, or a combination of both, depending on what the students have. Parents also have the ability to pay if their insurance doesn't cover it. Friendship House, we don't have anything to do with the money. And basically, it's just like seeing a counselor. So students can come right out of class, they go see the counselor, and then they return to class. Once the psychiatrist starts, the parents come to those meetings, come to the school with the student, and they see the psychiatrist via a television screen, and the social worker is in there with them to talk about counseling sessions and how things have been going, and they may talk about medication management or what's going on with the child. Those are typically monthly meetings, and the social worker typically sees kids weekly, and in some cases twice a week if there's something pretty significant going on.
This is probably, in my opinion, one of our biggest advancements.
I think so. I think it's been long overdue, and it's been especially in this area, because we are so short on mental health services. It's really a boom for us.
Very short, and anywhere you want to go, it's a 45-minute ride.
Correct, at least 45 minutes.
And you know, it takes kids out of school for almost a whole day. By the time you drive up, you wait, you see the doctor, you drive back, so.
Correct.
Are kids referring themselves, like in the high school level, or are they, who's making the referrals for the kids to
Well,
go?
we need parent permission, and then the insurance information has to be submitted before the student can get seen. But we've been, guidance counselors and social workers have been very active in getting that information out to parents. And it did go out in the beginning of the year with paperwork as well.
Yeah, I was wondering if parents don't know how to do the paperwork or are having difficulty, do you help?
It is literally fill out your name, what insurance do you have, what's your telephone number, that's it. It's no complicated, and then the social worker herself contacts the parent and goes through the entire process with them.
And if they don't have insurance?
we work through the process of getting them hooked up through
Yeah.
Medicaid.
Excellent. That's the most important step.
It sure is.
Thanks, Maria.
No problem.
The only other question I have was we got a grant for a lot of money in Dr. Purcell's report.
Oh, that's the Ready to Learn grant.
Right.
That's part of the SB, but we're using the money for, it pays for half of full-day kindergarten, and it pays for a percentage of our STEM program.
Oh, I see, it's $750,000.
Yes.
Is this something, I just want, because we have new board members, is this something we get every, can you just explain what it is?
Yeah, it's part of the subsidy that comes from the state, and what you have to do is every year put in a plan of how you're going to use the money. Bill, I think we're in the third year of the Ready to Learn grant.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, so every year you have to put in what your plan is to spend the money. And for years, when it was the accountability block grant, we always used the money for half the cost of full-day kindergarten. So we continue to use it in the Ready to Learn grant, and Governor Wolf expanded that we could pay for STEM programs. So we use it to cover some of the salaries for our STEM teachers in both the high school and middle school.
Okay. Just, I appreciate the work you do on these grants. I noticed also you got the grant for the electrical occupations program for the Amtron machine, which is, you continue to buy great stuff, Jim. Thank you.
Yeah, we try to get things that are hands-on and that our kids are going to use and benefit from.
It's a great system. I looked at it today, so I didn't get a chance to look at it last week.
And in fact, that's what Don was talking about tonight, that we have the consultant, they're going to put a lot of Amatrol equipment into the new programs. The programs that Dr. Blum and I have gone to see, most of the electrical programs have Amatrol trainers in their labs, and that's what we want to put in.
It's impressive.
DV.
I'm very impressed by it. Thanks very much.
I was really impressed that every single building did something community-minded. Whether it was selling cookies or, whatever they were doing, but every single building had something where they were giving back to the community, which is really, really impressive. I know it's the holiday time, which is kind of the time, and I'm hoping that you can continue to see those kinds of things as the year progresses, because it's certainly needed in the community, and it helps the kids to realize that they have to give back. They have an awful lot, and it's good to give back.
An impressive amount of charitable endeavors.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
I walked into one of our schools, well, one of my daughter's schools, because she forgot a book, and they were having a dinner for children, and Santa Claus Day and everything, and I inquired about it. I said, "What's going on?" And they told me that that this is not something that's really publicized much. That the staff does this out of their own generosity. They don't ask for anything. They do it out of their own pocket. And then I was very impressed by it. Then I looked into the other schools, and it seems like, as you said, Rosemary,
Every school's doing something.
and they do it
And it's
anonymously.
not like cookie cutters. It's like not everybody does exactly the same thing. It was really interesting to read them, that every building has its own little tweak on how to give back.
But it's sometimes our teachers get a knock and things like this, and it's very impressive to see what they really are doing behind, and what they're teaching to our children to do this, because our children look to the teachers. And like you said, I only mentioned it because you did. It was nice to see that happen, and that room was packed with a lot of families that were getting, some quality time with their family at Christmas thing, and it was well done. It was well done. I'm sure it was well done in all the schools. It was really nice for me to see.
And one more shout out to my Shahola school. The play last weekend was delightful. But those kids did such a super job, and it was a cute show, and it had adults laughing in it. Like sometimes you go into those shows and it's kind of like, yeah. But it really was very, very well done. And those kids were hysterical.
Can you do that again? How was it?
I don't know what I did, but what was it, the doo-wop, Red Riding Hood? The kids really did a fantastic job. I was really, really impressed for 4th and 5th graders, This is my daughter that went to college for music theater, for crying out loud, but they really did an amazing job. It was a lot of fun. I'm glad I went.
The future.
Yes, right, it all gotta start somewhere, right?
John, I just have one question. I don't see Marvin here tonight, but under Marvin's.
Come on out, Marvin.
Hi, Marvin.
You won't hear you, just ask her.
I just had more of a question that I think is outside of our purview as a board, but just curious. It has down that you're interviewing and selecting candidates as part-time bus monitors, which is really on its special needs buses. So I wonder if there's some collaboration in that hiring with the special needs department so that, because I know there may be training them, but they might have an eye to see what candidates might be better right off the bat.
We
Wonder if that's a
haven't
collaboration.
done that, but we can. We do work with them.
Not that we don't,
You know, more
you're looking for someone who's gonna show up to work. They're looking at someone with a little bit of a different,
Yeah, they
Just a thought.
used to be under my department, and a couple of
Right.
years ago, we moved them over to Marvin's department, which made the most sense, but, what you're saying is
Yeah, just
probably
because
a
you
very
might
good
see
idea.
somebody and say, "Oh, well, that maybe might not be the best fit, and rather than you training somebody who may or may not work out, they might save us a little bit of grief in the long run.
I'm good if you are.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Teamwork. Great. Any other comments on the administrative reports or the attendance report? Are there any comments on the financial reports? Now we have the superintendent's report, Dr. Bell.
Okay, thank you. First of all, we've now used 5 out of the 11 snow days. So we went from 1 out of 11 to 5 out of 11 in a hurry in the last 2 weeks.
And I think you only took heat for one of them.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, and I tried,
Yeah.
Tuesday, I tried so hard, I thought we could get in. And I wanted to, and I kept trying to coax our neighbors. And then they finally all caved and closed. And then I'm like, I'm not gonna be the only one open, because all it takes is one fender bender when you're the only district in Northeast PA open. So I finally caved in, because I thought, I didn't trust the forecast. And one was saying it was gonna start at 10, and the other one was gonna set 4. And I'm like, it's at 10, we're cooked, and so.
And it did start so earlier, just.
It just accumulated, yeah, it
So it's
accumulated.
coming down.
So we had to eat that one, but that's it. I said that the hardest part about snow day decisions is you're basing your decisions based on information that are provided by guys that are people that are wrong more than 50% of the time. So you're hanging your hat on a really shaky crew, so it's tough. It's tough. It's the worst part of the job for sure. But I wanted to shout out to Marvin and his crew, maintenance, grounds, and custodial, because our buildings have taken a pounding this year. It's been so cold. The wind, every time they get something plowed, then the wind blows off the roof, all the snow comes off the roofs, and they gotta replow everything. The boilers have been giving us fits in probably 3 or 4 or 5 buildings. So I just wanted to give a shout out to them. They're working really, really hard to keep things going. Because at any time, something can go wrong. We found that out, and poor CDD found that out too, with their water break. So thanks to those guys, because we could have lost more days in a winter like this. So, especially during that frigid cold we had.
How's that going with CDD?
Well, today was the first.
Today was the first day. We had a holiday and 2
Yeah.
snow days. I didn't think they'd ever get in. I thought they would.
But it went really well.
Glad to see it.
Senator Baker did not come. We had a snow day Tuesday, but she had canceled anyway. She got invited to go to the White House for a women's forum, which is, how great is that, right? I mean, so I'll let you know as soon as we reschedule with her. The calendar I showed you at the work session, it'll be on the agenda next month. I've sent it to the 2 union presidents to ask them if they see anything, anything wrong with any questions. There is one thing we may flip flop, and it's kind of immaterial on the big scheme of things, but August 23rd and 24th are the Thursday, Friday before the kids come back. 2 years ago, we did the opening day teacher work day, and then we did the in-service the next day on Friday. Last year, we tried it the opposite way. We flip-flopped. We had them come back. We kind of eased them back in. We did the in-service day first, then we did the teacher work day the second day. But when we were lining up our presenters for next fall, some of our presenters are not available on Thursday, but they are available on Friday. So what we'll do is we're just gonna do the workday on Thursday, the in-service day on Friday. And I'll have that flip-flopped for you before you vote on it next week, but that's the only thing, or next month rather. That's the only difference. It's just what we're doing. It's 2 teacher days in the big scheme of things, but that's why we're gonna flip it back the way it was 2 years ago.
What kind of presenters are you looking at?
Well, one of them is that Gary McGooey from Franklin Covey, because in our budget, we're looking to move Leader in Me to the middle schools next year. We're really excited about bringing it up, because the kids now are getting the training, but then they get to middle school, and it's like, okay, so we're looking to do that. So we would have what we're looking is, we would have elementary would be math training, more math training. And then middle school would be Leader in Me. They call it Project Lead in the middle school level. And then we'll have other things with professional learning communities for the high school as well, which I'm going to lead that part of it. I'll lead that so we don't have to hire an extra person. So. January is School Director Recognition Month. So you don't get a raise in pay, but we wanted to say thank you. Although you could get double pay this month, right? 10 times 0 is still 0. But we wanted to say thank you, and it'll be up on the board starting tomorrow. Thank you publicly on the marquee for the rest of the month. So thanks, we appreciate it. It's not easy all the time, but we appreciate it. And Pam had asked about the videos in your folder. There's just a 1-pager about the PSBA online learning that you can do on the videos. And there's 43 videos. So there's some information about this. So maybe I thought at the next work session, we could talk about some of the topics and find out what the collective group, what topics are of most interested. We could figure out a common time, like before or after a work session or something, where we could do some of these together if we want. So I wanted, Julie had printed this for us so we could share it tonight, just so you can have a reference. But if you go on the PSBA website, you can find this, and it's a pretty small print for the titles there of the different learning videos. But that's in there. I just want to. Yeah, coming soon. They said this month. We said January, but it's not up yet. But that's just information about that.
How much budget stuff will we have at the next workshop? I'm just trying to
At
figure
the February, we're going to move all the April stuff to March and all the May stuff to April. So we still have the February workshop that we can do, work session that we can do some other thing, whatever you want. That's totally up to you guys.
I think it would be nice just to show everyone how to get in.
Mm-hmm.
That was an issue before.
Yeah, we can show how and how to use our LearnPass login code so that you can get in for free. Because you can watch these videos on your own anytime. If there's one that catches your eye, you can just hop on and watch it, instead of watching TV on a Friday night or something, think of it as Netflix. Another perk of the job. PSBA Netflix is called. And that's all I have. That's all I have, Jack. Thanks.
Treasurer report. I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report. Second? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objection, the motion carries. Bills for payment. May I have a motion to accept the bills for payment, which include the general fund, cafeteria fund, and the capital reserve fund? Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objection, the motion carries. Personnel items. May I have a motion to approve the personnel items, including resignations, appointments, child rearing leaves, and extension of bereavement leaves?
Motion.
Second? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objection, the motion carries. Moving on to number 9, items for approval. May I have a motion to approve additional volunteers on the attached schedule? Second?
And Jessica.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objection, the motion carries. May I have a motion for the acknowledgement for the completion of the induction process for Nicholas Irwin and Christine Zamborski?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objection, the motion carries. May I have a motion for Danielle Estrella to work with Vivian Bruno, Brianne Nolan, Brian Okay. Maka, Ryan Chicoletti. Is that right? Yeah. Kathleen Van Wy.
Wait.
To complete her, I'm sorry, I destroyed people's names.
One of the
To complete, thanks for keeping score, Corey. To complete her 120-hour internship in family study and psychology for Keystone College for the spring semester.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objection, the motion carries. May I have a motion for the request for the waiver of rental fees for the following organization, subject to approved insurance? Shahola Cub Scout Pack 26 to use the Delaware Valley High School cafeteria and kitchen on January 27, 2018 for the Pinewood Derby event at a loss of rental fees of approximately $215.
We can do them together.
I'll do them together.
Can
Is
I
that
just,
okay?
can I suggest just a change to number 2? CDD called me late this afternoon, that's why it's on that they have to replace flooring as well, so they may need to stay with us until February 2nd, so it'd be another week. So, we can wait and put the change on in February if you'd rather. I mean, but they called me later today, so.
Let's just do these separate for now. Can we do the Shahola Cub Scout Pack once? Can I have a motion to accept that?
Motion.
In a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objection, that motion carries. Number 2, will we just do CDD as it stands this, and we can add on the extra time?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, CDD, to use the Delaware Valley Elementary School pre-K classroom in the afternoon from January 16th through January 19th, 2018, and January 22nd to 26th, 2018, for their pre-K counts program at a loss of rental fees of approximately $135. Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. May I have a motion to approve the resolution authorizing letting of bids for 2018-2019? Resolved, the Board of School Directors for the Delaware Valley School District authorized the letting of bids for the 2018-2019 school year for the following: general supplies, industrial arts, equipment and supplies, custodial equipment and supplies, electrical equipment and supplies, art supplies, furniture and equipment, physical education equipment and supplies, athletic and medical equipment and supplies, nurses' medical supplies, instruments, equipment and supplies, family and consumer science equipment and supplies, science equipment and supplies, career and technical education supplies. Second? Any discussion?
Bill, what's the bid threshold? I'm just curious. So what dollar amount do we have to have the bid?
These, let's see, you have at 10, it's gauged by the CPI now.
Okay.
We're at right in the neighborhood of 10, anything over 10,900. You have to get 3 competitive quotes.
Right.
And that goes up to like 19,800. So within that window, you can get 3 written competitive quotes. Over, and don't quote me on those numbers, but then it's close to 20 whereby you have to go out and publicly bid. A lot of these items here are multiple, like we try and use universally district-wide certain things in every one of those departments, so they determine how much they need. And so a lot of those are not necessarily high-cost items, but you put the number of supplies together and try and get a better price.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I need a motion.
We got it.
Yeah.
We got it, we got the second?
Yep. Yep.
Any discussion? That's it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objection, the motion carries. Item F is just the review of the board policies. And the first one is policy 006, meetings, 808, food services, policy 810-2, the use of audio video recording on school buses, policy 811, bonding, policy 812, property insurance, policy 813, other insurance, policy 814, copyright, policy 817, sun safety. Please note in the minutes that these policies are under review. These policies will be up for approval at the February 15th, 2018 regular board meeting. Is there any discussion? Anybody want to say anything about these policies tonight, or we'll wait till?
I can hold it till the workshop, but I do have a couple things on 810.2 based on the discussion from the work session. One where we are, I thought we were going to go back to the 2014 version of the policy as written, with merely making the changes to the required definitions and adding the audio portion to it. So we had the portion of the video depicting the defense or the offense is still in there, and I thought that was coming out. No, this is with the, correct me if I'm wrong, it's, Julie, this is the changes from the workshop, correct?
Yeah.
And then the other thing is where we added in, and I believe, Corey, it was your suggestion for the, if such record exists. But in rereading it and rethinking it, I think we're almost, in saying if such record exists in the front of the wording, we're kind of putting a negative that like it may not exist. And I wonder if we're not better off to say, just go into the record may be viewed, et cetera, by drivers and whatnot, and then add some kind of a disclaimer in there somewhere that should a video not be available, had been overwritten or whatever, that we can't be held responsible, or something to that effect, rather than to say if the record doesn't exist, because then it's too easy for a parent to hear the record doesn't exist and think, oh yeah, well, you got rid of it, you know. But maybe more to add it more of a, there are technical glitches and we can't be held responsible for those technical glitches. But instead of starting it with the negative, let's have that as a disclaimer at the end. And then I just had another thing, and I'm sorry for belaboring this one. We, under the definitions, we refer to a school bus and a school vehicle. But then when you get down under the guidelines, the second paragraph only refers to a specific bus video record. Should it be bus/vehicle? Otherwise, I don't know why we have the definition of the two. Yeah, we have two separate definitions, so that's what.
Yeah, they're from the state.
Yeah.
But so,
Yeah, so we maybe need to, wherever we
I
have
put
bus, put
bus/.
bus/vehicle, that
Sure.
way it applies for both.
Okay. All right, we'll fix those changes and have them ready for the next workshop, or work session rather, and then we can look at it more in case there's any other changes you want to make. Okay.
Okay, other business from the board and the public? Any other business? I did receive a correspondence, and it kind of goes along with something that was written in there about the reading programs and the math programs, and this is from a parent who's very happy with our Math 180 program. She said, she sent this out to teachers in the Dingman, Delaware Middle School, as well as the superintendent. She also sent it to the board, so I wanted to read it to you. Said, I want to send a quick email to praise the Math 180 program that my son is enrolled in. And I've left his name out. He has struggled with math since his school career started. After his IEP pinpointed his math issues, Math 180 was suggested for him, and I am so thankful for this program. It has helped him learn his foundational math skills, as well as helped him with his confidence. He always felt lost, behind, and couldn't get it, but that has changed with Math 180. This curriculum is only part of the puzzle. This curriculum is only part of the puzzle of his success and confidence. It is also because of the staff behind it. My son is a shy, reserved kid at school, not at home, who comes home and talks about both of his teachers in this class. He enjoys math, and that's fantastic for a middle school boy who has always hated the subject. The team of Ashley Keene and John Staub has absolutely contributed to his success. The transition to middle school has been seamless, and I thank you for your leadership, school culture, and staff in the building. It's always nice to hear something like that, saying, you know, that they appreciate the work that's being done. And seeing that a program like Math 180 can take this child who hated the subject and now loves it. You know, that's what we're, this is really good stuff to get. Okay. But thanks for that. Announcements. Meeting scheduled for February 2018. February 8, 2018 work session, 7 p.m. Delaware Valley Administration offices right here. February 15th, 2018, regular meeting, 7 p.m. Delaware Valley Administration office here. We will need an executive session to discuss a personal issue and a student issue, and we will not be returning to regular session. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting and to move into executive session?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Any opposed? Hearing no objection, the motion carries. The meeting is adjourned at 8:17.